Okay, guys, it's 12:30 according to my clock. So thank you for your patience and those that have been on for quite a while. Appreciate that. For those that haven't turned off their video, could you please do that? That would be wonderful. Thank you. And I've put you on mute, but you do have the opportunity. I'm sorry to be repetitive with the ones that have been on for a while, but for the new people that have just joined us, Jodie, my colleague, will be there in the chat and for you to ask any questions throughout the presentation. This will also be recorded, so you have the chance if you would like to get a copy of it. So just let us know that as well. So for those that still have their videos, that will be one of you could switch it off. Nelson 20. Sorry to put your name up there. It just covers the screen. If you're able to turn your video off, Nelson 20, that would be great. Can you hear me? There should be a little video to turn off down the bottom. It's a little wonderful. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Okay, so well, let's get started. I'll turn my video off throughout the presentation also. Welcome to Wushka. Wushka, the purpose of today is to give you a good overview of the program. There have been some people that commented they have used it before, which is wonderful, and they just want a refresher. So I'll go through the different components, how to set up your reading groups, and how to use it for shared or guided reading, or for independent and take-home reading. So there's lots of different components to Wushka, and one of them is a comprehension focus. So that's at the end of each book, and it's a multiple choice questions. There is also a narration with every book. So it's really good for that oral language as well. So if you're using this for remote learning with your students, you can open it up as a big book and model the different comprehension strategies if you like, and I'll show you how to sort and filter through the books to use it that way as well. Wushka is cloud-based. There's no app, so you just need a device to log into Google Chrome, we recommend. And I'll just go to the next slide. And so you will go through, we'll go through the different steps of how to set your reading groups using Google Chrome, as I just said. Oh, we've got somebody on. I'll just mute that. Sorry, guys. And all the other components, like there's a writing focus. It's got really good support for teachers with lesson plans. It has a writing focus as well. So we'll go through that, but the main thing I would like you to get out of this session today, without throwing too much information at you, is to set your reading groups up, set your independent levels, and get students reading. So how you use this at, whether it's a Zoom or a Teams, or how you're going to be using this remote, everyone's going to be a little bit different. If you could please, Irene, just switch off your camera. That would be wonderful because you're up on the screen. Thank you very much. Okay, so a little bit about Wushka again. The books, there's 650 level books. They start from 1 to 31 plus. We have a correlation chart. Now, if you haven't received that correlation chart, just let Jodie know in the chat and we can send that to you. So it just, as you know, it aligns all the other publishers that you might be using, including PMs, Fontys and Pinnell, Reading Recovery. So it's easy allocation of the books using Wushka. There's no games. The focus is reading. The cloud we use is in Australia as well. The comprehension focus we talked about with multiple choice questions and very comprehensive teacher notes. So I'll show you how to access those. Great support materials. We've got discussion cards, sequence strips, word cards, and activities or Blackline Masters. There's a narration with every book, and there's stats as well. So the teacher can have a look at an overview of the class of how they're tracking, And that could be for your independent and also for your shared reading. And the students get to see that. So it gives you an overview of how they're comprehending that level text. So they could be fluently reading it, but their comprehension's quite low. So how we do, just to give you a bit of an insight of our comprehension quizzes and how the quizzes are relevant to our reading level. So as the school readers become more advanced, so do the questions. The lower level quizzes use questions like determining recall and a basic understanding of main ideas and concepts found within the text. Quizzes then progress into prompting students to apply and analyse knowledge. In the highest level, students are provided with questions that encourage synthesis and evaluation of hypothetical scenarios related to that text. All quiz questions are structured around the Bloom's hierarchy model of questioning. So we don't just, they're being specifically chosen these questions, and it is around the Bloom's taxonomy, just to give you a bit of an idea. I'm going to switch my screen now and log into Wushka. So this is the Wushka website. Again, we recommend the Google Chrome. You would have received an email to activate your account, and the student will also be given a separate login, and I'll show you how to access that and give that to them. So the students can actually save this in favourites and also their login details at home. So it's quite an easy way to get in. Now, the coordinator will have two dashboards if they've been set up as a teacher. So we're going to go over the teacher dashboard today, not so much the coordinator. So when you log in, you will see this. Now, the cards we're going to be talking about today, the most important ones on this dashboard, are manage class, manage reading groups, the student login, and helpful resources. I'm going to start with helpful resources because the focus is around you guys and getting started. So if you click on here, on the left-hand side is all the resources that support you as a teacher. The right-hand side are templates that we have done up to support families and to let them know what Wushka is about, which is a really good, just to give them a good concept of what the program is about. We also can send you, if you like, tips for parents at home about Wushka. So we can send you that as well. Just let Jodie know. We have a teacher's guide, so download that if you forget something today. There's a teacher's guide. This is our correlation chart here, which I was talking about before, and it puts the Wushka colour wheel in alignment with the other publishers. Then we have the support materials for reading assessments, and I do encourage you to download this and use this as a really good resource. It goes up to level 22 and it shows you how to do a running record for their reading. What resources they use for that are word cards, sequence strips, discussion cards, and which books have those attached to it. So not every book would necessarily have a word card or a discussion card or a sequence strip. Not every book you use for a reading assessment. But why this is a really good resource to download, it shows you which ones have it. So this particular one here will have a sequence strip or a word card, and it shows you which one's attached. And down here, further on, we have 12 to 14, this continues with sequence strip. And this one here, Good Idea, would have a sequence strip and a discussion card. So I'll show you that particular book and how you would allocate it today. Then we have, which is also really good resource for teachers, I highly recommend to download, is our literacy progress markers, which is like a checklist. Again, it goes to 1 to 22 levels, and it is in alignment with the literacy continuum. So download that one as well. So that's your helpful resources. Going back to the main menu and talking about independent reading or take-home reading or your shared guided reading. So we're going to set these two up here. In Manage Class, you would have received or sent all your students to be set up, which you'll have access to, and I'll talk about how these columns work. You would have also, when you receive them, it will come up not set here, like this one here. It'll come up the student, a temporary password, a reading level not set. So nothing is set, it'll come up like that. You need to, as the teacher for those students, this part we can't do because we don't know the students, is set their levels. Okay, so what we've done here, what I've done in this particular class, these are just all the classes listed for my trial demonstration login. And the first name and surname's uploaded. The username is automatically generated by a computer. It's not case sensitive, but you can't change it because of the statistics. You can change the password, however. Now, you might want to do that as a whole class. You might want to do that independently for each student, individually, sorry, as each student. Depends on what you want to do. You change that in Manage Class up the top right hand side here. So you click on Manage Class, and this is like the big dashboard of how you change everything around. And here is your class password icon. So you just type in as a class, and I'm just going to put Wushka, set class password, and it'll all change. So that's up to you how you want to do that. The next column is reading level. Now, this is really important that it is independent reading level. So these students actually get access 24/7 to the reading level access and a further level access. So you can give them even more books to read. So this part here is very much driven by yourself. So if Ross is on, let's have a look here if I download the arrow key. If Ross is on green level 12 to 14 for independent for guided reading, so whether you're using PMs or whatever, you would allocate that level. You don't want Ross to be viewing that at home by himself because the text is too hard. You want him to have easy reading, have access to a lot of books to increase his vocab and enjoy the books. If they're going to struggle with them independently, they're not going to open it. So we need to set that by make sure you tick the white tick inside the red box, and it sets that independent reading level. Now, the next column along is saying, okay, what else would you like to give Ross? Would you like to just give him access to that reading level so you can only access that the blue level? Or would you like to give him some more readers? And one that is commonly used is one level below. So Ross will have access to about 60 books here in the blue level, and he'll also have access to the next level below that, which gives him about 120 odd books he can read independently. Easy. Now, by using Wushka is so diverse, and one of the clever ways you can use this is with the independent reading, you can have it a little bit more structured. So you can say, okay, I've given Ross these levels, but I'm going to instruct him of which books I actually want him to read independently for the week. So you would set this up in a reading group name. So the next column here, you can see all these different names that I've set up. So you can set up instructional reading groups or shared reading groups, independent reading groups. You can set up all different types of groups that you want the student to have access to. So to name your group, again, you go back into Manage Class and you go Create Reading Group, and you just create the reading group. So what happens by creating that reading group, you then put those books into that reading group name and you give him access to those books. So on top of that, he will have access to this red level, plus anything that you put into this reading group. So I will actually log into Ross's login and show you how to open and close those and what he will view. So if I'm going to put instructional reading group, or I'm going to put independent reading group here and lock that in. The next one is saying group permission. So, okay, you've set your reading groups up. You're going to, in a minute, add the books for that group. Do you want Ross to have permission to read those books or not? So you can actually turn that on and off. So how this is also really clear, if you have set a schedule for your guided reading or groups for your guided reading groups at 10 o'clock on Tuesday for the red group, you can turn that off. So you can actually set, okay, I'm going to do my instructional reading group. I'm going to have the books put into that reading group, but I don't want Ross and all the other students in this level for the guided reading to view that text. I want it to be unseen text until then. So you've set it all up. You're going to put the books into that book box of instructional reading, but they won't be able to view it until you turn it on. But they still have access to these books here. Now, the next column is a narration. Now, it automatically defaults to yes, but they have to press play for the audio to start. Now, it is a read-along narration, which is really good for the younger kids at home. And it highlights very slowly each word, so they read along. As the levels get higher, it will go faster, highlight a sentence, and then higher again, and highlight a whole paragraph. Now, the quizzes. Now, they will automatically default to compulsory. So at the end of each book, when they close the book, and we'll go into the book boxes in a moment, when they close the book, the comprehension quizzes will automatically come up for them to answer it. If it's a higher level, or you don't want the students to have that option independently for whatever reason, they might be struggling or there might be some special needs with a particular student, you can turn that optional so they can skip it. Now, an optional choice is also for the higher level. So if they actually haven't finished the book, you don't want them to close it and the quizzes to start. So an optional selection would be suggested for the higher levels as well. So once you have completed this, and it sounds a lot, but it's actually won't take you that long because you know your level students, you then need to go into the reading group. So we're going to put into these reading group selections that you have set up particular books. So if I go into reading group, and here's our reading group. Before I do that and go further, I'd like to go into the reading boxes and show you how to bookmark and filter the books specifically for these reading groups. So the reading boxes is up here on the right-hand side in the green. So if you click on that, and here's our book boxes all the way down to 31++. So to open up, you can see we have 650 great selection of books, and to open up each level, you just press the plus and it opens up that particular book box. Lots and lots and lots of books. How do you sort through and filter these particular books? Well, we've got a filter button. So if you click on the filter button at the top right-hand side above the book boxes, you have the option to filter them by a range of different options. You can search it by a title, if you like. Just type in a title and it will filter. You can filter by theme, so it's really good for units of inquiry or a particular subject that you might be working on. So you can filter it by a particular theme. You can filter it by fiction or non-fiction. You can filter it by how many pages are in a book. And most importantly, in the teacher's favourites, is you can sort it by comprehension strategy. So if you're working on main ideas, you just click main ideas and you filter results. So what it does, it puts only the books that have a comprehension strategy for main idea for each level. Now you can reset that, and the other option there is text type. So you might want to work on a particular text type. So it also filters them. So it's a really good feature of the program is the filter button to sort through all these wonderful books. Okay, so I'm going to go and filter and bookmark a particular book. So which one I'm going to choose is, if I open up this book box at 12 to 14, press plus, and there's my good idea. So going back to the helpful resources, and you can sort particular books for reading assessments. Good idea was in there, if you can remember, and it had discussion cards and sequence strips. So I want to use that particular book for this level for this student in one of the guided readers sessions. So I bookmark that. You can see it's got a little hover and you just bookmark it. So it actually puts it in to the little bookmark down the bottom here of the screen that says book, your bookmark books. So you can bookmark as many books as you want that you specifically want to use. You might want to just use it for a big book with your class. You might want to do some shared reading or some modelling with the students where you can just open up any book for them to view and read it to them. So you might want to bookmark it for that reason. Now, once I've chosen that book, if I go back into our reading groups and click on reading groups, and I'm going to choose instructional reading group here. So I want to put some books in for that class. I'll just take that one out for a sec, sorry. And if I go over to the left-hand side, so this is the group and these are the students within that group. So whatever I put into here, these students, that's their level, instructional reading level. So I'm going to go down to green because that's their level. And if I scroll down, you will see a good idea with a star. So it reminds you that you wanted to choose that book. So when what you do is you press plus and it adds the book into that particular instructional reading box. So what I'm going to do is log into that student so you can see what I've done and what they view. So I'm going to log in as a student. And you can see instructional reading group red, good idea. And then they have all the lower levels for reading independently 24/7. Now, if I'm going to log back out, just have to log back in and out of these screens, sorry. So if I log back in again as a teacher and I go back in manage class, and you see this reading group permission, if I turn that off and then go back into the student, need to get rid of that down the bottom, student logins. You can see that instructional reading group's gone. So you have set it up, but you're not going to open it up until that time comes that you have scheduled for that instructional reading, so it's unseen text. So if I log back out of the student and log back in as a teacher, I'm going to go back into manage class and I'm going to use this student again as an example. Now I'm going to switch to independent reading groups. So independent reading groups, I have given this student blue and one level below. So to be more structured, out of those books, I want him to read at least 5 of them for the week. And I'm going to choose those books. And you just make sure you have that on because you now want them to read this. So I'm going to go back into the reading group and I'm going to go to independent reading group. I'll just get those out. And the independent reading level was blue and 1 level below. So Ross has access to about 120 books independently, but I want it to be more structured. I'm going to choose out of that book box, say 5 books. So I just drop into the book box, 1, You can be specific if you like and filter them, but just for the purpose of today, I'm just going to choose 3, 4, 5 books. So now I'm going to log back in as a student so you can see that they have what he actually views. So I'll go back into student. Independent reading level. So these are the books you want that student to read for the week. You will see that they are also under here in the book boxes, but it's just being given a little bit more direction for them to read that. Okay, so back into the readers.
Can I ask a question there?
Is it okay if we do this at the end or put it in the chat for Jodie?
Okay, no problem.
And keep the flow, otherwise we won't get it done. We'll have an opportunity at the end, but you can ask Jodie a question on the chat.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I'm just going back to the book boxes and I'm going to go back to our good idea. And this is what the teacher gets to view. And you can see that has a description of the book, more detail about the reader. Then you have an activity at the end. There also all this metadata over here on the left-hand side, which gives you description of what level it is, fiction or non-fiction, what's the comprehension strategy, and high-frequency words. Now, if you want to start with high-frequency words with these books, we do have a document where you can use that. So you can just Control F and put in your word and it sorts the readers that way. So let us know if you want that document as well through the chat with Jodie, and we will send that to you. So if you scroll down here, and I'm going to just quickly show you the teacher's notes and lesson plans. Highly recommend that you have a look at this and take out of it what you want, but these are fantastic resources for teachers, especially when you're doing your guided reading. So it has an overview, it's got suggested purposes, it's got that whole before and during reading. Won't go into too much depth today, but I just want to just show you how good they actually are, and download and have a look at them for each of your lesson because it is all done for you. Now, along with that, we have Blackline Master, which is a comprehension activity. We also have a discussion card and a sequence strip to use for your running record. So you can just use those separate if you like. And I'll just show you in a document what they will do. Share. So here's the support materials for a good idea and what the student has completed. Now, because this is digital and the student mightn't have a printer to do this, there are apps, third-party apps, and Jodie will put it in the chat, that you can use for this. So one of them is Showbie, and the other one is Explain Everything, but I believe there are others, but they're the two the teachers have told us that work quite well. So they can access these resources digitally. Okay, so just sharing my screen back to Wushka. Okay, so we're back to Wushka and the books, and I will go back to the dashboard. So just in summary of today is the most important thing for you guys is to set up your managed class, your levels, and your independent reading levels or guided reading levels, and putting those particular specific books into the book box and giving this, having access, and it's very much teacher driven. Which ones do you want to have access to and which permission do you want to give for each one? You can turn it on and off. Once this has all been set up, you press Manage Class List and you generate the student letters. So generating the student letters comes in just running document. So what we recommend here to upload to segregate each one is what we call a snipping tool. If you haven't already used it, it's free to download. It's a fantastic tool. And what you do is you just crop and copy that. And what you do is you upload it into the students' portal for them to have access to. You could also, in helpful resources, attach that to one of those letters for the parents. And this is and also the tips and tricks that we can send you for the parents at home about Wushka. So you want to continue that whole pathway from school and what you're doing online to them independently at home as well. The best thing I can say about Wushka, guys, if you haven't already seen it, and this is feedback, I'll tell you how wonderful it is, but feedback from teachers is how much the students love it and how much they're engaged with the program. Put my head back up there. So get started, get your levels right, have a little play with it. We didn't talk about the statistics either, but you've got class statistics there. So once you start building your data, class statistics will give you an overview very quickly of how that student's going, how many they've read for the week. Have they read that 5 books that you've allocated for the week? How's their quizzes going? Is that level too high? It isn't a statistics program, it's a guided reading and independent program, but it's really good feature to have these statistics for you guys. In print, you don't get that. So having digital really gives a good oversee of quickly how each student are doing. You can then go into independently the students and have a look. This is what they get to view at home as well. So it shows them how well they're going, how many they're reading, how many books they've read for the week. Are they listening to the narration? Are they rereading books? So again, it gives you a pretty good insight of how they're going. This down the bottom here is their quiz results. So you can actually run a report on this, and so can the students. So you click on, sorry, I did that a little bit too fast. See all quiz results. So you can see down the bottom. So see all quiz results. Down here. And you can see the date they've read them, what the title was, how their score was. But to get more information, click on view, and it shows you which ones they got right and which ones they got wrong. Now they get to view that as well. So when they start reading, you'll start seeing the statistics, have a little look at it. You can click from home to school use for that independent reading. You can also go down to reader records down the bottom. And this gives you some more in-depth about the student, home, and also reading groups, instructional reading groups. So you can swap to see how, if it's independent or instructional reading groups, and how they're going, what levels. So get them going, get the statistics, have a little look, and track them. And it gives you some good feedback of whether that level's okay. Maybe you want to suggest reading a narration, listening to the narration. That might help them. And, you know, it just gives you an overview. So we've got a little bit of time. So I might just open up the questions and have a look. We've been busy chatting. Wonderful. So if anyone has a question, you can take yourself off mute if you like, one at a time, and hopefully we can answer your questions and that you've got. Anyone? If Jodie hasn't already answered you.
I've got a question.
Yeah.
In the past, but I haven't used it for a little while. There's the setting where you can select it's either like home or school. If you select it just for school, is it right that it gives it access during the school hours? Is that right? For the
okay, so I'll go back to the class list just to see where you're going. You're talking about this access here?
Yes, and then reading group, I think it's in reading group permissions. And when you've got on,
permissions in here.
yes.
So because it's a digital program, it runs on clock, and the school clock, well, you can change it, but it defaults from 8 o'clock in the morning to 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So you can change it. So when you turn it on school time, it's going to be between 8 and 4. And when you turn it, or we can change that to be 9 and 3, however you like. We can, Chris Simpson's raised his hands. We'll get to him in a sec. Chris, thank you. Or you can do it home, which would be outside of the 8 to 4. Or you can just switch it on or off.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Most schools will do on and off, especially in this climate right now.
Yes. Thank you so much.
No worries. Chris, you can turn.
Hi, we were just wondering if you could go through the student's view of a book and the quiz.
Go through the quiz?
Just have a look at what the student's view is of the texts and the quiz.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay, well, any particular level? We'll just do We Celebrate. To open up the book, you just press play. To hear the narration, you press play up the top and it will start narrating. I'll just flick through the book to get to the quizzes at the end. So because I'm not in a student, I'm as a teacher, it will come up optional. But if you, it'll automatically go compulsory. So when you have it compulsory and you finish the book, they close the book up the top with the X. And it says, would you like to start your quizzes? I'm not going to skip it. And then you have your quiz multiple choice questions. So they aren't narrated. Now, the reason why they're not narrated, it is for guided reading and instructional reading. So there should be a teacher there to go through with them and talk to them about these questions, and they choose an answer. Because it is also available for independent reading, you can switch it off if you feel that they mightn't have support at home, or you know your students and which ones you might want to switch it off for. Sometimes the really lower level, they mightn't be able to read that. They might need help. If you feel they haven't got help for independent, you can turn that off. And then that's in your managed class list. So what they do is they just choose their answer, go next, choose their answer, go next, and we'll give them an automatic result. The feedback we get from teachers is if the students are unhappy with that result, they will go back and reread it to get a better result, which is fantastic. So if you get the opportunity, which I'm sure you will, using any of these platforms, is demonstrate to the students of how to open the book and how to close the book, because the closing of the book will pick up the statistics. So if a parent says, oh, I've actually been reading these books that you've allocated for home reading, but it hasn't come up in the statistics, the reason why is they haven't closed it properly. So just let them know they need to close that. But it will be, I'm pretty sure it's in the tips for the parents that we can send out. So hopefully that answered your question, Chris. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions?
Hello?
Hello.
Hi, we've got some teachers who team teach on one class, and we're
Yep.
wondering if both be assigned to one class and access the account separately.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we do is we just put, no, I'm going to go back into class list and show you. I'm going to switch to a teacher, a school, and this is where we add in. So your coordinator would do this. So these are all your teachers that we add in, a card, and then we put them into a class. So you can actually put any teacher into one of the classes. So they'll have access to that whole class.
Great, thank you. That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's not, the price of Wushka is not based on how many teachers, it's all based around the student login. So you can have as many teachers in there as you want to have access. So we usually try and put the coordinator in all of them. And it's just a really simple process of drag and drop. So yeah, it's pretty pretty user-friendly program.
Fabulous. And we have one more question for you.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
We're wondering if the levels align with the Nelson benchmark kits.
They are. So we do have a correlation chart which includes the PMs. So we can send that to you if you like. Just put that in the chat because we go back through the chat, and we can send that to you. Just put your school name and your email, and just we'll flick that to you.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, is that all? No other questions at this time? Hopefully you, you know, the objective here was to just get you quite familiar with Wushka, not to go too much in depth of the program. There are other features of it which we can go through later, but we just want you to get up and going, show you how to do your groups for independent and shared, print out the letters for the students with their login details, and just get the kids reading. Great. Okay, well, thanks so much, everyone, for your time. And if you have any other questions or need any further support, well, you can contact support@wushka.com.au. So Jodie's probably typed that up on there for you already, and we can send out any other information as well. Or you can contact your local MTA rep, and they can give you some information and support you as well. Thank you for your time. I just have one other thing I would mention is we have another program called ST Math. So if you're looking for an online resource for math, we've also got that free to the end of June. So let us know if you want some information on ST Math. It is a game focused, which is and problem solving focus. So it has had some fantastic results in schools. So let us know if you're interested in some more information on that, and we can send it out to you. Thanks everyone for your time, and have a wonderful day.